Cardano is a coin. That is going to be the topic of today's video, and we are going to be showing you guys why it is that Arthur Hayes is wrong. Now, if you don't know who Arthur Hayes is, I'm actually quite a fan of the guy. I think he has been in the crypto space for a long time, and he has some really funny, at times good insights into the crypto space. Of course, he's the co-founder of BitMEX, and somebody that's been a part of the crypto space for a very long time. However, his recent criticism when it comes to Cardano is quite frankly uninformed and wrong, and we're going to be showing you why that is in this video. Certainly for the first half of the video, we are going to be looking at TVL in regards to the DeFi space. He is essentially saying don't buy Cardano, buy Ethereum. We're going to be showing you that in many areas, Cardano excels when it comes to Ethereum. And actually, if you counted the staked Cardano in regards to the TVL of the overall chain, it would be one of the top. And it's not that far from the top. It's around about 13th in regards to everything in the crypto space as it relates to total value locked in the DeFi space. And of course, Ethereum, the vast majority, I think it's something like $29 billion of Ethereum's TVL is literally in Lido, which is a liquid staking platform. And Cardano, of course, has this built in. So that's what we're going to be doing for the first half of the video. And then in the second half of the video, we will be looking at our price prediction and how things are playing out. You guys will know that we are waiting for a breakout of what you may ask. Well, we'll revisit all that for those of you that are new to the channel and perhaps haven't seen the other price related videos that we've done. So we've got a lot to get into. Without further ado, guys, let's dive into it all. And let's start with Arthur Hayes' Twitter. Now, again, I am a fan of Arthur Hayes. I actually think he has some great takes. You can see quite clearly I'm following him on the right, just like I'm following Charles. And I think all of this kicked off on Twitter when he went on Guy's channel, Coin Bureau's channel. And essentially, I think he was asked a question. Cardano was brought up and he essentially called it a shitcoin. Which many people do, but you can see he doesn't really know what he's talking about based on his own tweet and his own admission. And then we're going to look at what he has to say, what Charles has said, and then throwing our own 2 cents in there and showing you that Cardano actually isn't a shitcoin, despite people using that terminology to try and gain credibility and popularity or notoriety, eyeballs on Twitter. It's a very polarizing thing to say. People get a lot of attention when they do say things like this and they use it to their advantage, and that's the only reason I think they're saying it, not because they actually believe in what they are saying. But this is from Arthur Hayes. For all you ADA believers, what dApps on this list originally launched on Cardano, or has Cardano offering that is heavily used? From my very limited knowledge, so he's already admitting that he doesn't really know what he's talking about here, looks like none of them do. That's why Cardano is dog. IOHK, please educate me. Now, Charles didn't even respond to this, but he did at Arthur and say, why are you throwing the shade? This is the list that he's bringing up. And you can see Lido, which makes up the vast majority of Ethereum staking, I think, or the vast majority of TVL on Ethereum. I think it's something to the tune of $29 billion, which is one reason why Ethereum is as far ahead as it is in regards to TVL. You can see the likes of Uniswap. These are Ethereum dApps, basically. And Ethereum is king when it comes to TVL. It's the king of DeFi. It was the first. It's got that first mover advantage. But we are seeing a migration in regards to Ethereum. Let's look at Charles's response to this. He tagged Crypto Hayes Arthur. Why are you throwing shade at Cardano? I like you, man. He then replies saying, because your coin is a piece of shit, man. I like you too, many regardless of the price of ADA. Just buy some ETH and chill. You can see Charles replies, so what don't you like about it? And there's absolutely no reply from the Hayes man himself. And this is very typical. We have often came on here and kind of combated individuals, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm a big believer in free speech. Even if I don't agree with what you're saying, I'm going to defend your right to say it. And it's an opinion. I personally think that Cardano falls behind in a number of areas that we're not going to get into in this video. It does fall behind Ethereum on DeFi. He knows what he's talking about in regards to TVL. But to call it a shit coin, when some of the other coins that he talks about are actually way behind Cardano in the exact metrics that he's looking at, to call it that, or to warrant calling it that, I think is rather naive. And his comment about just buy Ethereum, as a very quick reminder, if you want to use the Ethereum main chain, just to send Ethereum on the low end is going to cost you $2.22. And on the higher end, it's going to cost you $2.40. I remember when this was in the tens of dollars in the last bull run. So it's not majorly more expensive than Cardano to send. It is significantly, probably to the tune of maybe 3-4x. But if you want to actually use DeFi applications that he's saying that Cardano falls behind on, to make a swap on Ethereum right now, it's going to cost you $38 at the low end and $41 at the high end. For an NFT sale, it's going to cost you $65 at the low end and $70 at the high end. For bridging, it's going to cost you $12 at the low end and $13 at the high end. And for borrowing, it's going to cost you $32 at the low end and $35 at the high end. So just to use Ethereum and its DeFi ecosystem, it's kind of, you know, if you've only got a couple of $100 to play with or something along those lines, you know, it kind of doesn't make that much sense. I can see the argument, and there is an argument to be made, that actually if you're playing with millions or hundreds of thousands, it's not that expensive. Certainly actually when you compare it to TradFi, but it is still very expensive for the kind of average users. Let's now talk about TVL, okay? And you can see this is where Ethereum is in regards to chains. It's the top, it's the big boy with $45 billion in DeFi. 29 of that is actually made up with Lido staking, just to show you that very, very quickly. You can see Lido makes up 29, 28. Okay, so it's fluctuating $1 billion worth of value. And actually, if Cardano had liquid staking on it, if we look at the fact that 62% of Cardano is staked, and Cardano has one of the best staking mechanisms in the game. There's no lockup. It's liquid by nature. And ultimately, there's no need to create a entirely new dApp or build a dApp just to actually stake Cardano. You know, it does it kind of inherently. It's got this beautiful proof of stake mechanism. It's one of the areas that I really think Cardano shines. If you were to take the amount of Cardano staked and take a look at what the actual value of that would be according to the current market cap, that value is to the tune of $12.8 billion. So if the amount of Cardano that's staked, just like a large part of the Ethereum that's staked makes up its TVL, you'd be looking at something like $12 billion. And if we go back to chains, not to mention what Cardano already has on it, that would put it in the second spot. But it has, as a feature, not a bug, liquid staking kind of built into its consensus. It is 14th in terms of TVL. It is low. It is a lot less. I haven't seen there are areas that I think Cardano is lacking in regards to its DeFi sector. Stable coins we all know about. I haven't seen the kind of algorithmic. I think Jed, if I'm being honest, wasn't a great success. If you look at the TVL, didn't see the kind of inflows that I thought it was going to see. You know, there are things you can say about Cardano, but just to call it a coin, I think is more of a publicity campaign or a viewer campaign than an actual factual campaign at all. And you can look at all the chains that are below it. You can see Algorand right down there, things like Tezos, you know, Injective, Stellar, lots and lots of chains fall short actually of Cardano. So I think Cardano is doing quite well. I think being 14th out of the entire crypto space in terms of TVL warrants it not being a coin. We've shown you that actually if Cardano wasn't as efficient as it was in regards to staking and you needed to build a dApp so that you could do liquid staking or a protocol that you could do liquid staking, and you took the amount of ADA that was staked currently, it would bump it up to the sort of probably second position in terms of TVL. But it has this real amazing feature. And you've got to remember, Cardano is still a top 10 project. Why is Cardano a top 10 project if it is such a shitcoin? Also, in regards to TVL, we did cover Mazzari's report on the state of Cardano. And you can see across the board, you've seen real growth in regards to Cardano. TVL up 166%, stablecoin value up 37%, and Cardano itself up 127%. We really wanted to make a video to kind of debunk some of the allegations, I guess, made against Cardano. Hopefully you guys can see that just in a few of the things that we've highlighted. There are many more. Again, I do think Cardano falls behind in certain areas. I do think there's a lack of actual institutional and real world applications being built on top of Cardano. I do think that it lacks in the stablecoin department. I do think it lacks in the DeFi department. But what you've got to remember is if you look at all the dApps that are built across every single blockchain, there's only a handful that actually have real world usage and real impressive volume. We're still in this very early stage as an industry just like the internet when it first started, where we're still waiting for those killer dApps, those killer applications to be built, like YouTube, Google, whatever it may be, that are going to bring the billions to the space. And I actually think that Cardano does stand a good chance of being a chain that could be facilitated on. To wrap the video up, we have given a price prediction for Cardano. It is progressing in the direction that we think it is set out to do. Perhaps not as fast as other coins that were looking for similar things that have now actually broken this neckline. So we are looking at an inverse head and shoulders that we ultimately think is going to take Cardano to the $2 mark. Now, that doesn't have to be the absolute price prediction for this bull market, just something that we can see technically present on the charts. And we give our price predictions and our price forecasts based on technical analysis, not where we think it could go. $2, we'll see what happens when it gets there. We'll see if it interacts with this $1 sort of 20 range and sets up kind of a similar thing to what Bitcoin's doing. But you guys know just how much success we've had with this exact pattern. We are expecting Cardano to do this. We're just waiting for the breakout, hopefully on volume in a similar fashion to what we saw H-bar not a couple of days ago do. And then we are set for a broader uptrend. So we're not worried about the price of Cardano at this point. Where am I currently at with Cardano is probably a good thing for me to cover. Well, Cardano actually isn't one of my largest holdings at this point. We do hold other cryptocurrencies to more of a degree than we hold Cardano. It is one of my holdings all the same, but I ultimately think from an investment point of view, there are projects out there, potentially newer ones, that are going to outperform Cardano. That's a bet that I'm taking. I've been right on that bet thus far. If you look at my portfolio, and you can unlock that when you become a Patreon. But it is still one of my holdings as is. I do think it's a very impressive blockchain. It's a very organic blockchain, and we do think that it will do well. From an investment point, maybe not as well as others, but it is something that we still hold and we're interested in. Guys, that's really all I've got for you. Hopefully we've debunked the Cardano is a coin narrative, just based on what Arthur's saying. No shade on Arthur. I think he's done a lot for the industry. But that's really all we've got for you guys. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next.